Hi, Urmi.
Hi. Hi,
How
how are
are
you?
you? How's your Sunday going?
Going very well. Going very well.
I'm so excited to have you on our live and dive into your journey. Um,
Thank you. And thank you for having me. That's really sweet of you. When you asked me, I'm like, of course, yes, I would
I was,
definitely
I
love to
really,
do it.
I love you and you know that, but I want to dive. um,
I love you too.
I want to dive into, how it all began for you. How did it start? Where did your passion for fitness come?
Oh my God. So that's a I actually got into fitness very accidentally. I was always into sports, so got into sports in school and really enjoyed playing sports because the kind of uh, like de-stress or me time that it would give me. And that time, my family was going through a lot of financial problems when I was a kid, like when I was in from fifth grade
Yeah,
onwards. And that's all, like playing sports helped me like take my mind off all of those things, but at the same time it helped me focus on my studies, which, and I sort of like pulled up my socks after I got to know like what was happening. And my parents were super transparent, and like they've always been very real, so they never kept us in the dark or tried to protect us unnecessarily, which I feel is very necessary, and it has really helped me even now. So that's how I started into sports. And then it was like a gradual progression where I'm like, oh, okay, let me go to the school gymnasium as well. So I used to go and do push-ups, and then the coach would come in and like he would advise me a little bit. So it started off honestly like very organically. But then I realized the freedom and the confidence that it gave me. And I was the only girl playing basketball amongst like 20 boys. So anyway, I had like decent self-confidence in that sense. Hi, Kripa.
hi, Kripa.
Uh, I think that's how I got into fitness. And then because I started seeing the benefits, like I told you, right? The
Yeah.
benefits beyond just weight loss or beyond just like staying in shape. And I was a chubby kid in school, definitely. Even now, like I don't have a before after transformation wherein, like people are obese and then they get into fitness and then they're like, wow, like, and they go in complete transformation in terms of physical appearance. I was chubby, and but my body has changed over the years. Like when I was 21, my waist was like 24.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's no longer about just the waist size, but now it's more about strength. So yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy journey of learning as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
how
I
I
want
got
to
into it.
dive into the fact that I don't think many people know that you were doing a full-time job before even getting into dance or anything related to fitness. So
Yeah.
how did what was going on in your mind at that point? Like what made you go like make this, undertake this career switch?
So you mean to say when I was doing a full-time job to
Yeah,
now?
like how did you choose it and what was going on? Were you scared? What is happening?
So this was after my MBA. I loved my advertising job. I used to do client servicing and copywriting both. This was when I was about 22, 21,
Yeah.
22. And I was loving it. I was really good at my job, and my superiors, my bosses really loved me. And we were a small company of about 15 people. So I had a lot of responsibility. I had a lot of say. And what I said, actually, I could see getting executed. So it was a very good high for me creatively as well. And that time I was heavily into fitness, but it was all about like just pursuing as a hobby. And then I quit my job and went for my MBA school. I mean, I finished my MBA, and actually, honestly, in my MBA school, I realized that, oh my God, I'm not made for the corporate culture. Because the first day I went to SP Gen, Dubai, Singapore, so SPJCM, and it is one of the most reputed MBA schools right now as well. But what really took me back was that everyone was like talking about pay packages, and everyone was talking about even during grades, right? We would get grades, and we're like, how much did you get? How much did you get? I'm like, guys, you used to do this in school. Like, this is no longer the like, is this how we still do it? And so I was never competitive with others, but I was always competitive with myself. And that would sort of like, I don't know how to say it, but it was a lot to do with self-driven as well. So I realized that I want to learn as much as I can from here, but this is not, corporate culture is not my go-to place. And I was like, I'm going to maximize this and see where it goes. And then unfortunately, that time the bubble burst. So 2008 and 9 happened. So I didn't get a placement from my MBA school. And I found my own job where I was working with Vikram Bhatt in his, it's called ASA Productions, where I was helping him promote his movies. And I was in the marketing because I always wanted to be with media. And then I was not happy with the job. I was not satisfied in terms of learning, in terms of the challenge. I felt it was more about coordination and more about like, it was not creative enough for me because I was not a writer with him, right? Like I was not
Yeah.
into the filmmaking side of it. So for me, it didn't satisfy me. That's when I actually decided that I had already seeked out my guru, Daksha Sheth, and I had met her before my MBA as well. But that time I had chickened out from going to MBA. And I just, this time I was like, you know what, this is, do it. Like, this is
Your
do,
calling.
like now or
Yeah.
never, because I'm not getting any older. If I want to try something, doing something which is physically demanding, it's right now. And luckily, that's what I love my parents, that we had paid my business fee, like my business school fee upfront. So I had no education loan to pay off, which honestly is like a lot of students are under the burden of education loans.
Yeah.
So I feel like that sort of, I'm like, what am I waiting for? I have the, I'm physically sort of prepared for that kind of rigorous lifestyle. Mentally, I'm not there yet, but I know that is where I'm going to test myself.
Yeah.
And financially, I know I was like, I can right now afford to take this risk. So I'm just maximizing the freedom my parents have given me rather than, misusing that freedom.
Yeah. And so this is
So.
what took you to Kerala then, right? For 3 years.
That's that. Yes, correct. So I went to Kerala for 3 years with my guru, and I was always about like the guru shishya. I always loved that kind of a bond, and I was seeking that honestly. And I was just like the first 3 months were really hard, like living alone in a place where no one knows the language. You don't know Malayalam, they don't know Hindi, and of course my guru was Gujarati, so I had couple of people, the dance company people who were familiar, but it was a completely new setting. I've never lived alone in anywhere apart from my hostel, which was
Yeah.
again like food is taken care of, all of that. So it was a great journey. And in fact, the first 3 months, my mom was like, I'm taking you back. This is not working. This, you're in some gaon, like someone will kill you and throw you over. They will not know, like, we will not even know what is happening with you. And I was like, Mom, let's not judge this for the first 3 months. Let me just give it my all for the first 3 months, and then we will see what to do. Worst
Yeah.
comes to worst, I was like, I will go back to my advertising job. I was literally that. Like, I was like, worst comes to worst, I just go and start copywriting again because that gives me joy. So
Yeah.
that's why I could give it my all because I was not judging the situation at hand.
And then what made you go from dance to fitness? Because that's another change in itself. Like what happened there?
So a dance is again like a physical profession, and we were doing a lot of martial arts. And I was fit, but I was not fit like I am today. So like I had been playing basketball all my teenage life. So there was a lot of like I can say tightness built up in my lower body, which I didn't know about. Like foam rolling, I had not heard about it. This I'm talking in 2010,
Yeah.
right? And I had not heard about foam rolling. I had not heard about glute activation and all of that. And I was still in like a fitness, like I say, fitness freak and not a professional. So I was like, I started getting a lot of knee pain, knee swelling while doing Kalari, which is very hard on the knees if you are doing it every day. And we used to train literally for 2 hours as just as our like our training. Then our rehearsals would start after 2 hours. So those 2 hours were hardcore Kalari workout, which was like learning the martial art of Kalari, doing yoga, doing running, doing skipping to sort of build the stamina. So that sort of took a
Yeah.
toll on my body after 1.5 years. And that's when I got my first injury. And that's when I started again going back to body weight exercises. And then I was introduced to Pilates that time for the first time in 2010. And I'm like, wow, this is great. I love this. And so I got back into fitness from a very different perspective.
Hmm.
because up until then I was only doing like workouts, right? So I knew strengthening, I knew push-ups, squats, I knew all of that. But now I'm like, hey, I need to treat this injury, and
Yeah.
now I need to sort of look at fitness in a very different way, not just as maintaining my body shape or like feeling great. So that sort of made me go into a little bit deeper into fitness. And that is when first time I was like, okay, I can have a routine of my own along with my dance rehearsals, which I used to do. And then in 2012, when I moved back to Bombay, a lot of my friends were very curious as to what are you doing in Kerala? What were you doing? So I said, boss, I'm not going to teach dance, but I'm going to teach what I really know, which is from last 12 or to 20 years that I know. Hi, Mansi. So I sort of
Yeah.
went from like amalgamating my learnings from sports, from the gym, which I used to go in school and in college and during my job before my dance school,
Yeah.
and then combining the body awareness that I learned as a professional, as a dance professional, the rhythm, the breath awareness, how to
That's
coordinate mind and body. And that's how I actually started training people. And I was like, wow, anyway, I used to love fitness. So for me to just train myself was not a big deal. But I was like, I love teaching. I love looking at people and seeing them grow and helping them grow. That's when I started
yeah.
like studying again to do my certification. So that's how fitness happened as a profession.
And but like, I also want to know, how did the name Kinetic Living come in? Like, why Kinetic Living? What does Kinetic Living mean to you? And where did that come in from?
So that's a good question because my mentor from my advertising days, Mr. Alvin Saldana, I've like spoken about him a couple of times when I've spoken about my entrepreneur journey. He and I connected a lot when it came to um, um, brainstorming, right? And like he was a copywriter in his early years, and then he was the creative director of the agency where I was working. So we had a lot of rapport. We used to sit and jam about ideas. So he was also very fond of me because I was this like super energetic person. I used to love food. He used to love food. So he used to take me to good places and we used to like hog and all of that. And then we were into workouts. So we had a lot of connection outside of our work as well. And he used to keep telling me, he's like, Urmi, you're a very kinetic person. Like you're bouncing off the walls everywhere and you have a lot of energy. So that sort of had stuck in my head long time, like in 2007, imagine. And then I'm like, in 2012, I'm like, I want to use something which is beyond just fitness because I knew that fitness had done so much for me. Sport and fitness was not just workouts, it's sports, it's movement, it's body awareness, it's
Yeah.
so many things together, right? It's martial arts. So it's dance as well. So I wanted to use like an all-encompassing word, and that's why kinetic really resonated with me. And living is because, again, fitness is not just a chore, it's not just a goal, it is your life. And I have
Yeah.
seen how fitness can really empower someone mentally as well, which it has done for me. So my idea was to bring that experience and that kind of power to people. So that's
Yeah.
why
And so,
kinetic living.
okay, that sounds amazing. But like how you just mentioned right now that fitness is more than just becoming physically fit. It's a lot to do with your
Yeah.
mental side of things. So how did fitness for you? What have you learned on the gym floor? Lessons really, like more than just becoming stronger. How has it mentally impacted you and changed you?
So I'll tell you what I'll tell you like point wise because otherwise
Sure.
it'll like go too long and people will not benefit from it. But I would say that first one is that you have to take responsibility for yourself, which means no one is going to drag you to the gym or the dance floor or the studio every day to work on your body. You have to do it. And in the same way, in entrepreneurship, if you don't take the initiative, if you don't take and believe and pursue your idea, right? And work at it and like see, detail it out, visualize it. How do you want to execute it? What are the people or what are the things you need to execute it properly? No one else is going to do it, right? Like there were so many times when I was like, I had so many ideas about projects and I'm like, पर करेगा कौन मुझे ही करना है, right? Like if you don't
Yeah.
start, if there is not the first day, there will be no second day, there will be no award, there will be no clients, nothing. So that, I think that is the first thing, is to take responsibility, learn to take that. And second one is hard work always pays off, which means also hard work doesn't mean you kill yourself. So that is second lesson, is people think like, again, when it comes to workouts, people think I have to kill myself, or unless and until I'm crawling out of my workout, I've not done a good enough workout. And the same thing is with entrepreneurship, which I have sort of also learned it a little bit of the hard way, because I became a workaholic at some point in time. Also because I love my job. So it was never like someone was telling me to do so much, but it was
Yeah.
like, oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do this. Oh, I'm excited about this. And then suddenly you're like, oh my God, I have so much on my plate. But then I don't want to stop my own training. So then it became even more intense in that sense. So I would say, like, definitely do not confuse intensity with effort. You can still have a good amount of intensity and still put a balanced amount of effort and not burn out.
Yeah.
And third thing, on the gym floor, I would say, and from my training, I would say, of course, never give up. Injuries happen. Injuries will happen either by mistake or by some other accident. Like I got injured on in my ankle, not in my workout. Because and honestly, touch wood, but I'm pretty confident that when it comes to, like, there will never be an injury in like injury accident in my workout unless and until something falls on me, or that I drop something.
Yeah.
But it will not be due to like a bad posture, or not be due to like improper uh, warm up,
Yeah.
right? What did you do when you reached that burner? I'll definitely discuss that, Mansi. So but definitely, like, so injuries come. I was on a holiday and I was bouldering and I fell down and I twisted my ankle. So I was like, okay, this has happened. Now let's deal with that. Same thing in entrepreneurship, or honestly in in life in
In
general.
life,
Like,
it's true. It's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
people will walk away. Your people you depend on will walk away. Uh, Things you depend on will crumble. Like, look at the lockdown, right? So
It's so
uh,
unpredictable. Like you just have to keep going. Yeah.
yeah, and how can you change that? How can you have, I would say, trying to control everything is trying to give yourself a false sense of security or certainty, because nothing is certain, but you can influence the outcomes by doing whatever is in your control,
Yeah.
right? And like, most people think it's inside outside in, but it's actually inside out. If
Out.
you, yeah, and I think sports workouts teach you that, right? If you can maintain your cool, you can breathe. And that is the fourth point, which is workouts make you physically, and that's what even kinetic living is all about, is to give you that energy at the end of the day. So if you tell me, like, Urmi, I don't have energy at the end of the day to make sure that I'm giving my best to Cool Kanya. So my job would be to also see the other stressors in your life and help you become this person, this ball of energy, rather than just someone who is looking good but has no energy towards her, like, extra
Yeah.
energy to go that extra mile when it comes to really her passion project or her passion, which is Cool Kanya, right? So that's what I
Yeah.
mean, and that's what sports gave me. That's what, and sports
Yeah.
builds character. I feel like, if you can
It
be
really does.
honest, yeah, you can take sportsman spirit, right? Take the loss in your stride. How good? I used to
Right.
say this thing is like, uh, you will know how good people are in the bad times, right? Like, it's very easy to
Yes.
be good when things are good, but it's what counts when what you are when things like shit hits the fan. How are you dealing with that? And I think that's what sports also teaches you, is
Yeah.
teamwork as well, right? You can never, even if it's an individual sport like lawn tennis or badminton
Yeah.
or golf, there is a whole team of professionals behind you. So you are never alone. Or even if they are not
Alone.
related to your profession or your sport, your family, right? Or your moral support, your emotional support is so important as well.
Yeah, I think you
So
brought up a really important point also while you were talking about this was mindfulness, and that's something I've learned from you is the focus on breath is so important, like how you move and that grounds you,
yeah,
and how you're like,
Vanshika,
Vanshika,
breathe.
breathe.
Vanshika, breathe. Yeah.
I think that is so important in life, because that helps me even at work, because there's so many moments when you feel anxious, and that's when, your voice comes, okay, Vanshika, breathe. Like, it's
Yeah,
fine.
that's amazing. Yay, that's great.
So I
That's
think
so,
that, yeah, I think that what you brought up is so important.
yeah.
And I think we got one question about burnout, right? So how do you
Yeah,
deal
I'll
with,
answer. I wanted to answer that same thing
yeah,
since we were talking about mindfulness as well. I think uh, I feel like it's important when I went through the burnout, I already knew there was something wrong when
yeah,
like the burnout had reached its peak, or when I realized that I am burnt out. I had already sort of experienced for the 2 months prior to that, that what's happening. There is something not aligned. There is something missing, or there is something that I'm not doing right, which is bringing these feelings of, like, I would wake up and I would be like, I'm excited about my ideas at work, but I just don't have the mental and the physical bandwidth to go ahead and execute it. I was like, wait a minute, can I just hire someone to execute all these ideas, and like hire someone to think for me, because I just can't get out of bed.
yeah,
And it was not that I didn't want to, but I just couldn't do it. And it was not like I started hating my job. I still love teaching. Even in fact, that's what probably also made me realize is that even though I'm tired, the moment I start teaching, I forget everything. And that sort of also has helped me push myself a lot, because I love what I do. Having said that, being kind to yourself, being uh, like understanding that it's okay to make a mistake. You made this mistake, or you went down this road where you really pushed yourself up to the wall. Don't do it again. See what you did wrong and
yeah,
see what you did right. And so I went into this super reflective zone in the entire month of October, November, especially. Like, thank you, Aarti. Thank you so much. Fit by Design, she's also a very, very great coach, but she's also my student. And yeah, she's amazing. So, uh, where was I? Yeah, like November, I did close to like 39 to 40 hours of self work, literally, with
yeah,
my coach. And it sort of like really made me real. Thankfully, I was about to quit everything, and I was like, no, this cannot be the way. I cannot put my all my hard work down the drain. And that's when it really helped to work with a coach. So I would say, like, when you have a burnout, first go make sure you are reflecting and see your mistakes, but don't discard the good things. Be
yeah,
grateful for the good things that you have done, that have brought you success because of your hard work. So don't just say, oh, I'm never going to do this because it brought me here.
yeah,
Right? It's always good things with the bad things, or with the unfavorable things. I would not say good and bad. And other thing, see, like, ask for help,
yeah,
ask for the right guidance, and seek the right guidance. I mean, no one is perfect. We all are in a work in progress. So I learned so much, not just about myself, but also how I can be a better coach. Because I realized that if I'm so hard on myself,
that's so true.
naturally I'm gonna also be hard on my students and be less compassionate. So I learned a lot about, like I said, being kind to yourself, being compassionate. I can see how I'm also talking to my students. Of course, it's not like drastically changed, but it has improved so much.
Much, yeah. I think you bring out a very important point here, right? You're like, the only voice a lot of times you hear is your own. So it's so important to be kind to yourself, right? Like that, I think that is so important. Urmi, another thing that I
Thank you,
want to
Mansi.
ask you is, how did you go about creating Kinetic Living, which is now, a renowned fitness brand? What all, what it all takes? How do you create a fitness brand? Is actually my question.
Okay. So, first thing, and I feel like in fitness, it's way more applicable than any other service, like a tech.
Yeah,
Finance also has a lot, is influenced by the market in a very, very big way. So, I feel that first thing in a fitness brand, especially, is that you have to genuinely care for the people who you deal with, or they are just not your clients. You have to actually, of course, you have to. That's where I said that, uh, as a coach, you have to draw a boundary somewhere. of course,
Yeah.
but you have to be genuinely interested in their well-being, genuinely interested in their progress, which means sometimes you have to step back as a fitness coach or as a fitness brand and actually be more just like human,
Yeah.
right? And strike that balance between being super disciplined or super militaristic vis-a-vis someone who is also helping someone heal. Or so that is why I said that
Yeah.
the moment you care about your clients, you will do everything in your services and in your skill set to help them become better and feel better, not just in one phase of their life, but as their life evolves, you will also help them evolve and support them in that. So that is one thing
Yeah.
for sure, because that's how you build customer retention, or that's how you build a community wherein people have faith in you, not only as like not only have faith in you to help them do a good push up, but also have faith in you to talk their heart out, or to say that, hey, today I'm so stressed with my work that I cannot do my workout properly,
Yeah.
right? Because so many fitness environments are so toxic, because there is like a whole egoistic thing where तूने कितना lift किया, मैंने कितना lift किया, तूने कितना rep किया, मैंने कितना rep किया. And on top of that,
Huh.
then if the coach is also doing that, which is like you weakling, or like negative motivation, right? Negative motivation, I feel like thankfully it's going out, but it still is underlying there. Like you're still judged,
Yeah.
even though people say, oh, don't worry, do it properly and all of that. But underlying, if they're still judging you, if your coach or your brand or your, like I said, you create an environment. That is the environment that creates that secure feeling when people walk into a studio, or when a person trains with you, is that, and that is what builds a fitness brand, is built because of the coaches and not just because of facilities like spa and reception and like all of
Correctly what you.
that. So the like people, coaches make the fitness brand, and I think I've really invested and been super picky even with the way I select my team. So definitely fitness and innovate. Get to know the technical side of your field. So if I wasn't a coach and if I was just a like I was just a fitness entrepreneur owning a brand, fitness brand, I don't think I would have been able to innovate as I'm doing today, because even without a brick and mortar space in the lockdown, I can think of ideas as to how I can better serve my students. So,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah. I
brand
love
is,
that.
yeah, customer delight, right? Like you don't, you play it cool, but you over deliver. You customer delight over customer satisfaction is always my motto. And yeah.
I love that. Like you, I think the caring part is also very true. You have to genuinely care to really make an impact.
And
Only
look
all.
at the market today, just adding, look at the market today, that when you do go just even little bit out of your way to even just check in on your clients, or I call them students. I don't even call my clients to clients. I call them students. I just go out of my way, and not that I'm deliberately doing it with a motive or agenda in my head, but I'm genuinely want to know how was the workout for you, or if they have told me that they're not feeling well and they cannot train that day properly, I will, after 2 days, immediately message them. Are you feeling okay? How are you feeling? Are you eating better? Are you resting better? Those are the things that actually people are not asked in everyday life. And that's what honestly
Yeah.
people want
Maybe.
to hear, is that how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's so important because even when we work out, you always ask me like, "How's work? Are you stressed?" Because that impacts the way you perform, and I love that you asked me that. So
And in fact,
that's so
just
true.
to, I mean, we don't have to go deep into that, but the reason I'm so particular about whether you're stressed or not is because all the stress hormones, cortisol, your female reproductive hormones like PCOD is all a outcome and a function of very, very stressful and erratic lifestyles. So, and then you're trying to cure something which has come because of your years of erratic eating or erratic lifestyle or bad self-talk. You're trying to cure it with fitness. And then you're saying fitness is not working for me. Of course, it's not going to work for you alone. You have to look at it. And that's why I said it's kinetic living. It's not kinetic fit alone.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I think Mansi has another question. How do you
Yeah.
delegate when you're so passionate about what you do?
It's a very good question because for the longest time, so I have this thing where like मैं करूँगी. If you can't do it properly, I will do it. If you so of and that is honestly the growth that I have done, not as a fitness professional, but as a fitness entrepreneur in the last 1.5
Yeah.
years, is to learn how to delegate and how to trust people. But of course, I've burnt my fingers also. I will not lie. It's always a balance. And how can you prevent burning your fingers? You have to put in the effort to train your team like that.
Yeah.
If you communicate properly what your expectations are, and if you give them the right tools, if you enable them, and if they still don't deliver, then they are not worth your brand anyway. Then you have to tell them to leave. And I'm a taskmaster. If you've done something which, despite of giving you every single tool or freedom or space and time to do it, and you don't do it, you're gonna hear from me at some point in time where I'm gonna be like, boss, pull your socks up together. These are the things you need to work on. And if I don't see that happening, then I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I cannot work with you.
Not working. Yeah. I think what you
So,
delegating is hard. I agree. In the beginning, it is so
so
challenging because you're giving your baby away in a way, right? You're allowing someone else
exactly.
to do.
So there are so
Yeah.
many times like I've gone on holidays. I've traveled a lot in the last 2 years, and I still have managed to maintain the quality only because I prepared. I prepared my team when I was about to leave. We discussed workouts, we discussed variations, we discussed students literally that for this particular student you have to do this. Imagine till that level I have gone, and I've made them understand the thought process. So why would you give a different variation and not this variation? Right? What would you do in this scenario? And sort of empowering them to also make some of the decisions on their own, right? That is how you delegate and make sure that someone else also feels your passion, like you sort of transfer that enthusiasm. And that is why getting a good team is so important because they also have to be honest about their work.
Yeah. And another question I had with me before we dive into the mental fitness aspect, during the last few months, there's been a lot of change. And I think one aspect that has really been impacted has been gyms, has been fitness. So how did you sort of deal with this kind of change? What did you do? And, how are you dealing with it right now? No one's going to Kinetic Living the studio. So how did you have to change your business model to sort of accommodate for the change COVID brought?
So I will not lie, the first months that the lockdown happened, the first 1.5 months, I was very happy. Because I was like, I am loving this because within a week we started online classes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I know that I'm not making as much money, or the business is right now not making as much as it would on a regular day or a regular month. But I'm like, hey, I have this time of pause. There's this limbo, right? For the first 1.5 months, no one knew what the fuck, sorry, no one knew what was happening. And it was like, okay, क्या होगा पता नहीं है, but जो भी आज है वो करते हैं. It was like that, right? Living day by day. And I recovering from a burnout that had happened in October, November, December. And honestly, I was still dealing with a little bit of burnout related depression in Jan as well. So I was coming
Okay.
out of it. And this sort of I'm telling you, I felt like, wow, universe has like answered me because I was craving for a pause in my life without my business, without my clients wondering where had I disappeared or something like that. And
Yeah.
this was a world over pause. So I was like, I'm going to take advantage of that. So that was first thing. Second thing is that's when I started online training. And because I feel of my
Yeah.
experience in coaching and understanding anatomy, I can look at a person online and still probably tell them how to stand, how to do things. We've been training. You'll relate to that.
Yeah.
But and understand and cue them in the right ways so that they feel that I'm literally there in front of them,
Yeah,
except
I
for the
feel that way.
physical
I feel like you're
touch.
coming to the camera and you're telling me what to
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
exactly, right? So, and that is where your skill will come more handy. So, I know a lot of people who have suffered, or a lot of gyms or clubs who have suffered because their team or like their coaches or their trainers are not very well versed with body weight training, right? Then I
Yeah.
know a couple of businesses who have stopped doing anything because they don't want to adapt to the online medium. So
Yeah.
it is, I'm telling you, it is about adaptation. It is about innovation. If you want to run a business, you have to, especially a small business or especially a startup, right? So especially I'm not talking about corporates alone, but look
Yeah.
at Google. Even they have reinvented themselves. So if you as a business, what is the benefit of having a small business? Is quick turnaround time, quick response time, flexibility. That is what makes a small business thrive, can make a business thrive. So adapt. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I adapted to the online medium. And honestly, how much ever workshops that we've come out with in the last 4 months of the lockdown, I would have done probably lesser if it was in real time, because I have done close to 5 to 6 different types of programs in the last 4 months. And I feel like that's an amazing output of creativity. And of course, the ticket price is smaller. The
Yeah.
pie has shrunk a little bit. I can understand that, but so has my output, right? So has my outlay. Like the monthly expenditure is lesser, so it has helped me
Got
as
down.
well.
Yeah.
And and of course, then I came out with my own app as well in April, and I have learnings from that app as well, where I realized that I probably rushed into the app. So the next month, in this coming month, you will see I'm coming up with something new as well. But I have had my learnings from the app as well, and I'm trying to sort of streamline the process. And instead of saying that, oh my God, I have to do this process all over again, I was like, you know what? My mistake was that I rushed into it, and I'm going to take the good learnings from that, and I'm going to now learn more about this digital platform, digital marketing, digital business side of the digital space, right? Still on the
Yeah.
content side. If you see my Instagram, it's not much about the business side of digital platform. It's not e-commerce.
Yeah.
Mine is more content creation. So now I want to get into that e-commerce business side of it, and I'm loving learning so many things every single day. So
Yeah.
adaptation, learning are like, yeah, that's what I've learned in this lockdown, and that's how I've changed my business.
I love that. Urmi, before we dive into the rapid fire, we will address, I think, one question. Shilpa has asked it twice. To what
Huh.
extent does mental fitness play a role in physical fitness?
That's a very good question. And if you were to ask me if to which to prioritize, I would say both go equally hand in hand in terms of they are two sides of the same coin. I'll tell you how. Because, and I'll tell you, depending on what phase you are in life, one should rather have more preference over the other. Which means if you are in a space in your life where you need things shaken up completely, right? Like you are stuck in this rut and you're doing your job, you're doing your routine every day, you know where your salary is coming from, and you know that your life is set, like you're living with your parents or not. But basically, it's just a routine, right? And when you need to shake things up, you
Yeah.
need some kind of either a physical transformation kind of a journey or a mental transformation kind of a journey. But what happens is when you start physically is that you start with the body. And when you start with the body, it's something that you can touch, you can feel, you can squeeze, you can feel the pain much easily than just mental, right? Because mental is more abstract. So
Yeah.
when you start with the body, you sort of start developing a new kind of relationship with yourself, a new kind of awareness of yourself. Suddenly you'll start noticing, how am I sitting? They will start noticing, where am I spending my energies? They will start becoming more mindful
Yeah.
about, how can I introduce new habits or good actions in my daily routine And again, those actions need not be similar, but they have to be of similar nature. For example, I don't necessarily need to go for a run every day to feel good. But one day I can go for a run. One day I can do some yoga on my terrace. One day I can dance with my friends. One day I can play throw ball with my building friends, right? So what I'm trying to say, but what is constant is staying active, is staying connected with your
Yeah.
body, staying connected with your breath. Same way, then they will start looking at, okay, what are the foods that I'm consuming that are making me feel low on energy? So let me
Yeah.
look at that. So that's how you sort of very slowly start that process of change. And any kind of change will help you go further. At least you're not stagnant. So, and what
Yeah.
generally starts affecting, which I have seen is and then let's say, for example, you become like a really fitness kind of like a person who loves fitness, okay?
Yeah.
Then you start getting obsessed with it. Then you start circling your entire life around it. So then again, you've gotten
Around
into
it.
a
Yeah.
rut again, right? So that's what too much of a good thing is also not good. So you have to like, and I've
Yeah.
heard Sadhguru say this line, and I really like it. He's like, obsession with health or fitness is again like is also not fitness, or is it also not healthy. So
Yeah.
so that's why I said that is where now once you get into stuck into that, let's say for example the second rut is when you will know that now you need to work on your mental fitness.
Yeah.
And so
That's so true.
it's like a never ending recycle
Yeah.
chain.
It's like,
And
yeah,
I would call it
balancing
the
also.
upward spiral. Yeah, yeah, so I would call it like the upward spiral or the downward spiral, but it's like helps you. And there are phases you cannot deny. No one, if you want a life like this, then it's boring, honestly. And if you want a life like this also, it can be very taxing on your body and your energy. So you want to have
Yeah.
you know
Smooth
like a
life.
waves.
Yeah.
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 And if you see in the universe also, all energy is in the form of waves. Energy, if you see physics, energy is not like this. It's all waves, it's all frequency.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
so true. Urmi, now let's dive into the rapid fire round. So these are obviously, you know how rapid fire is. You have a few, like 10 seconds to answer these quick answers.
Okay.
So,
Oh shit. Okay, let's do
okay,
this.
what is advice that you would give your younger self?
Be kind to yourself.
Okay, one lesson you've learned in the past year.
Shit. Uh, fuck. It's the same, I think. It's be compassionate. One lesson. Yeah, that's it. Be kind to people.
Okay, and your favorite fitness movement.
Favorite food? Deadlifts, box jumps, sprinting, skipping, and
Everything.
V-ups. Toes to bar. Toes to bar. I
Okay,
love toes to bar.
okay. What is one thing that annoys you the most?
Lying. People lying.
Okay, where do you want to be in the next 10 years?
I want to be an author. I want to definitely live closer to nature, maybe outside of or have a base outside of Bombay, which I can call my own. I want to be an online fitness empire. I want to fucking kill it.
Go for it. Okay, we have one actually from the audience. Burpees or mountain climbers, the one you dread.
Mountain climbers, I think they're so monotonous. I dread them. I love burpees. I have like 10 variations of burpees. I can keep doing them. So, no problem.
I wish I could say the same. Your biggest fear.
Biggest
What's your
fear
biggest fear? Yeah.
is, sure, wait. Biggest fear is to not have, not have a drive, I would say.
I love that. And what makes you a cool Kanya?
And last year, my biggest fear, which I realized was, again, fear of losing what I have. But I've realized the more you try to hold on, the more you will get obsessed with it. So you have to learn to flow.
Okay. And what makes you a cool Kanya? The last question.
Because because I do what I set my mind to, and I can be creative. I can find 10 ways to do it. So, I mean, I can find 10,000 ways to do what I want to do. So, yeah, I can never run out of ideas.
I
I
love
think
that.
that's what
Okay,
makes me.
and we have some more questions actually that have come in. One is from Neerav, which is online space or offline moving forward?
Both. Again, as a business, you cannot get stuck. As I said, you have to adapt, you have to innovate. So honestly, it can be offline or online. I will do whatever it takes to thrive and not survive. I want to thrive.
I love that. Okay, one last question that we have before we end. Scale or quality?
Any day quality. But and in fact, you and I were talking about how do you balance scale and quality, right? And again,
Yeah.
that is by investing in your team, investing in keep learning. There are different ways where you can strike a balance. It's just that it's a journey. You will keep making mistakes. You will and take feedback from customers.
Yeah.
I am a sucker for feedback. I will ask every now and then, how was this? How was it? They probably are annoyed because in this lockdown also I've sent them like my students three different forms of survey that will you come to the studio? Will you do this? Have you fallen sick in the last couple of days? In the last couple of weeks? Have you met new people? Like how much we've done?
Yeah. Okay, great. Urmi, thank you so much for your time. I know we went a
Thank
little
you.
over, but I
It's
think all
okay.
your
I
insights
enjoyed
would
it.
really help. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for doing this. I think our journey
Thank
is
you for
super, super
having
interesting.
me. I think you are a cool Kanya yourself, honestly. When you told me that, would you like to do cool Kanya, like, live with cool Kanya? I was like, hell yes. I want to be a cool Kanya.
Thank you, Urmi.
All the best to you as well.
Thank you. See you. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.